Hey cats, what's happening?
Hey, beautiful people.
Yeah, hello beautiful people. What's happening, cats? You know, V and I took a vacation, it had to be at least 6 years ago now, when we went out west to see my brother in Southern California, Lone Pine. Uh, and while we were there, my brother wanted to take us on a off-road adventure in his Toyota 4Runner. The Forerunner, was a pretty steady vehicle for taking off road, and we headed south into the Coso Wilderness area. Very very remote, high desert area. You know, cactus, rocks, sand, lizards. They call it the high desert because as we were down in the valley, we kind of made our way upwards, up in altitude slowly, winding up into the Coso Range through this desert area, where we finally got to a place where we couldn't go anymore. There was a huge wash. I mean, it was like a 20-foot drop where the water had, you know, eroded the road away, so we couldn't even go. So we turned around at that point. Um, from there, we did a little bit of exploring before we left, but then we got back in the Forerunner and we started out. We didn't go very far, and the Forerunner took a dump. The alarm system went off, the horn started beeping, the engine shut off, and there was nothing we could do. We couldn't get, no matter what he did to try to pull the key up, put the key back in, it was totally locked out. Everything was locked out. I had to get out, open the hood, and disconnect the battery to stop the horn from beep, 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 and the lights were flashing. So we didn't know what to do. We thought, well, maybe we hook the battery back up, it'll reset, and that didn't work. So we tried a couple different things. I mean, I was even able to. We had cell phone service, so I pulled up my phone and I called this Toyota dealership, and they said, well, you can go through this series of things where you turn the key on and off 3 times. You flash the headlights, you tap the brake pedal. I don't know. There's a whole series of things, and he said that'll reset the computer. Well, that didn't work. So here we are, stranded at least 3 miles away from the highway. And even at the highway, we were still miles away from any civilization. So the condition right away, we realized, was somewhat dire. We only had a half a bottle of water between the three of us, and the temperatures were over 100 degrees. So, I kind of scouted out the area a little bit, and I saw that we were, kind of where we could kind of get a little downhill grade. And I thought, well, maybe we can coast. But the Forerunner was automatic transmission, and he couldn't get it out of park. And I said, well, there's got to be a way to get it into a neutral. With a little bit of research on my phone, I found that, there was a little button on the shifter you could push that would click it back, and then we could be in neutral. And I thought, well, we'll try pushing it and see if it'll roll and we can get it rolling. Well, my brother was freaking out. I mean, he was freaking out. He realized how serious this situation was, and he says, oh my gosh, it's over 100 degrees. All we got is a half a bottle of water, and there's between the three of us, and we got to walk at least 6 or 7 miles before we can even get somewhere even remotely that could help us. And it'll be dark by then, and he's panic stricken. V, she was having the time of her life. She thought, wow, what an adventure. Who would have ever thought we'd be stranded in the Coso Wilderness? She goes, this is great. This is classic. I love it. I mean, she was just overjoyed, which was crazy because it really helped the situation a lot rather than, having everybody panic and be down in the dumps. At any rate, we were able to get the thing rolling. We pushed it and we started rolling. My brother was steering, and I I was in the passenger seat. V was in the back, and we started rolling pretty good. We were getting probably doing about 20 mile an hour. Now, although it was kind of an off road, it wasn't too bad. There was some rocks and gravel and stuff, so it was kind of a bumpy ride. But we kept coasting along, probably about 20 mile an hour, and then up ahead come a wash, where the stream had come across the trail, and so there was like a real good dip in the road there. And my brother started cranking on the emergency brake, trying to slow down. And I said, no, 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 don't slow down. I said, we'll get stuck in that, depression. I said, we want to kind of roll through it and get up over the top lip of it so we can keep going. So he let off the brake and we started picking up speed again. Well, we hit that wash and we hit it hard. And when we came out of it, the forerunner went airborne. We actually jumped. And my brother, his head smashed on the ceiling. Now, he's supposed to be driving, and right away his hands go up the steering wheel. Oh! Stoved his neck real bad. So I reached over and grabbed the steering wheel, and I'm steering the thing. V's in the back just having the time of her life. I mean, just a bundle of joy, that woman. It just was amazing. My brother was okay. He wasn't. It was just the initial shock of getting his head slammed on the ceiling, but he was okay. He recovered fairly quick. To make a long story short, we ended up coasting the whole way, at least 3 miles out to the highway. There was places where we had to push. There was some sand beds we had to get through that were pretty hard because, we don't want to roll through sand. It was real soft like sugar sand, so it didn't want to roll very easily. But luckily we were able to keep it rolling. Sometimes we could probably get up to like 25 mile an hour and we're moving along pretty good. Other times we really had to get out and push to keep it moving. But we made it out to the road. We popped the hood open. We were right up by the highway. We were able to call a towing company, and they brought a flatbed truck out, loaded us up, and took us home and dropped the forerunner off at the repair shop. That was crazy. And it wasn't long after that, or right about the same time, where V started having really sharp pains in her rib cage. And she thought she had fractured some ribs. And she wasn't quite sure how it happened, but we got some x-rays and they said there's no fractured ribs. Well, she said, well, this hurts really, really bad. So they said, we're going to do a couple more tests, and it was then that they found out that she had cancer. The cancer was actually in her rib bones. They did some more testing and they found out it was not only in her ribs, it was in all of her bones, it was in her stomach, it was in her lungs, it was in her spleen, it was in her liver, it was in her whole body. It had spread through her whole body. It was small cell lung cancer, the worst that, the survival rate is about 0 for that. So that just began a very long journey for the two of us. Hundreds of appointments, chemotherapy, radiation treatments, initially ended up in surgeries, and slowly, little by little, as the years went by, I watched her quality of life dwindle. Eventually she ended up in brain surgery, where they had to remove a large tumor from her brain, and from there she ended up in a wheelchair, and really that was the thing that really made it turn for the worse, because once she had the brain surgery she started having seizures, and I couldn't take care of her at home anymore. So we had to put her in a facility that was full care, full nursing care, and it was just an awful situation. It was November 12th, 2022, and I was sitting at her bedside. She could no longer talk. Her head was over to the side like this, and she couldn't move her head or her body anymore. And she was just staring blankly out the window. Uh, Her eyes couldn't even turn to look at me anymore. Her hand, when I held her cold hand, she couldn't even I couldn't even feel her trying to squeeze my hand at that point. When I told her I loved her, I could see her lips trying to move, but she couldn't audibly speak. So I knew she was answering me, and her eyes were twitching, and I knew that she heard me. And I told her at that point, I said, well, I'm going to go home, and I gotta go home and get something to eat for myself. I need to feed the animals because I had been there all day. And I think it was about 7:30 in the evening when I kissed her goodbye, and I left. I had a short night's sleep, and I woke up about 6 o'clock the next morning. It was November 13th, and I had taken a shower, and I was just getting myself dressed to head back to spend the day with her when my phone rang, and I knew right away. I just knew. And the phone call was from the nurse at the facility, and she said your wife had passed away sometime during the night. So, after about a 4+ year battle with cancer, it finally took her, and she went to be with the Lord Jesus. There isn't a day that's gone by that I don't miss her. I know that she's gone. I know that she's not coming back. I'm content that she's in a better place right now, and she's waiting for me, where I'll join her again one day, along with all the others. We'll be together with the Lord one day, and I know that for a fact. But I do miss her here. Her wonderful smile, her always words of encouragement. She was so good to me. I just can't begin to explain what a wonderful relationship I had with that lady. I miss her so dearly. But this day, I memorialize her. I remember her. And I probably always will. It's a rough day to get through, but somehow life just keeps going on. You know, time never stops for anybody. We all have our day. We all have our expiration date. Every one of us. We never know when it's going to be. Each one of us is different. Some will die young. Some will die old. Some will die unexpectedly, and some of us we will see ourselves slowly dwindle away. But nobody can know that day. When it does happen, though, I would hope that each and every one of you would be prepared for that day. Know the Lord, and know that He has a place for every one of us. Know that He loves us very much and cares for us very much. He knows every hair on our body, every cell. He created us. The Lord knows us better than we know ourselves. And whether you believe or not, one day we will all meet Him. And you'll know at that point for sure what the deal is. Because that'll be the day when everything changes for every one of us. I look forward to it. I'm not going to rush my life away. While I'm here on this earth, I'm going to live my life the best way that I can. I am going to enjoy life the best way that I can, even though I miss her so dearly. My life has to go on. I have to keep living. And during that time while I'm here, I hope that I can help you guys out a little bit, that I can be a blessing to each one of you. I pray for each one of you. I pray many blessings for each one of you. As I've said before, we all have our crosses to bear. We all have our struggles that we go through. We've all lost loved ones. We've all suffered in pain and suffering. We've all had emotional issues. You know, that everybody goes through. Life is not easy. It was never meant to be. It's a challenge. It's a struggle. It's how we live it. We don't get there through good works. Although good works are good, you know, the Lord tells us that we must believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and we will be saved. That's the bottom line. All we have to do is believe, trust and believe. And I keep that in my heart. Thanks for listening to me today. I appreciate the prayers and the support. I know you guys loved V2 as much as I did. She will be missed. If you liked my video, hit me with the thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and continue to join me through the rest of this life. Till next time, cats, I'll catch you all later.